I think laughter is one big thing. Every child should be laughing, playing.
The way the child shines the light on us adults, that to me is the huge moments of, it's a very humbling experience of being put in our place.
The children have so much to talk about here.
I want to be a policeman to catch a bad guy. We're like very alone. I don't like to be alone.
Here they have a voice. Here they have a right.
So if you guys can see, the wonderful children from Child Street 11 are seated in front. They're here to listen to Nirmala's talk, and we're really excited. So you've actually mentioned, oh, it's not working. Hello?
Hello.
So you've actually mentioned that when I first visited your school that your job as teachers, running the school as principal, isn't to teach the children, but to facilitate learning. Can you share more about that sort of mindset going forward?
We don't teach children. Children already come with a lot of knowledge. A lot of the work we do is about teaching the adult. Teaching the adult how to see the child for their capabilities, their potential, their ability to do. And that is the most difficult part of working with adults who come in with this idea that I know, I went to school, I studied, look at my diploma, look at my degree. Are you telling me that all my years and experience of working are not relevant here? I mean, that's not what we are telling you. We're just telling you, come in with a very open mind, leave your knowledge behind outside, and as you learn and grow with the children, you can bring back that knowledge and you will see things in a very different light. Now, the child can do this very easily. The adult cannot.
Can I ask, so in your school, concretely, can you give examples of stories about what happens, how do you do things differently that, new teachers come in and they're not used to?
Well, I think we tell teachers, get used to the idea that the child will talk to you, will ask you questions, and will lead the teaching and learning process, which means the child has the freedom, the power, the authority and ability to ask you questions, and then your job is to think on your feet and come up with answers that are relevant to his or her questions. So you can come in with your lesson plan, and 9 out of 10 times or 11 out of 10 times it doesn't work, So you have to be very, we call this buoyant. We children have this great ability. They can switch, they can stop, they can run, they can fly. But we adults, we have been so conditioned into thinking and doing things the right way. Don't make mistakes, get it right. You are the smart one, you went to school, there's an empty vessel standing in front of you. Fill that vessel up and send him to school where he will pass his PSLE, go to ARA and become the Prime Minister of Singapore.
Yeah, I think all of you really resonate with that. So actually, based on what you're saying, it sounds a lot like, the child might actually know more than the adult. Is that what you're saying?
At times, yes. At times, no. So it is, the whole idea of learning, we don't really use the word teaching, is that your image of this child. Do you see this child as an empty vessel waiting to be filled? Or do you see this child that is born or comes to you with knowledge, with wisdom, with a lot of information? And then what becomes your role? Your role then is not just to give them the facts, the data. I think they kind of know that. It is to understand how the world works, how their knowledge is bouncing off other children's knowledge, how it is connecting with the knowledge that the adult has. And so it becomes a process where you are a co-learner, you are a co-teacher, and the power shift keeps moving and shifting. Again, child loves it, adults don't like it.
So actually that reminds me of a quote Russell Ackoff said. He said that the greatest enemy of learning is teaching. So actually speaking of that, you talked a lot about the challenges, like, you know, adults can't adapt. So what were the challenges in running Child at Street 11? Because you've been running for 14 years.
19.
Oh, sorry, my bad, 19 years. You know, what have the challenges and how have you overcome them?
I think if we identify the adult as the person who is going to be leading this learning process, a lot of training, retraining, support, scaffolding, you know, we always think children need this support. They are so fragile, they are so poor thing, you know, they will crack, they will crumble. But it's actually the adult who needs this support, the belief, the go ahead, do it, try, never mind if you fail. So long as you don't hurt the child, physically, emotionally, psychologically, then it's an open field. And therefore, this process of reworking the mindset actually involves, in many cases, tearing up the adult. Not in a mean way, because if you don't do that, you're going to run into all sorts of trouble when the child comes to you and he will tell you, how come you don't know anything? You know, why is it that, you know, you always look so lost and you don't know what is where, and you keep asking me questions. Where do I find this? Where do I find that? And so the adult needs to be retrained, re-educated, and it's a very, very painful process.
So when we talk about the adults, we spoke a lot about the teachers. What about the challenges? Because I think your approach is really different. And Singaporean parents have kind of a certain set way of how they think their children should be educated. So can you share a bit more about, you know, challenges you face with parents?
I think often one of the usual questions we are asked is, you're an Asian center, you're in Asia, your teachers are foreigners? Are they from the West? And I say, no, they're all Singaporeans. And they say, it cannot be. You cannot do this in Singapore because we don't allow this thinking, okay? And then they ask, you mean your parents allow all this, roll in the mud, run up slopes and say hello to the president and sing songs for them? The parents allow, otherwise you cannot do this work without the support of a parent. I don't have, I think, a single parent who challenges us on the way we educate the children. They come, they leave the child to us, and the trust is placed in your hand. And of course, we don't betray that trust, and it's a relationship you build with the parents to say, this is your child, this is how we are doing, this is why we are bringing him. For example, today's TED Talk. I mean, this is a great example of how we immerse children in natural learning environments. So the parents actually want us to do this. Most centers do 3, 4, maybe 6 outings a year. We do more than 20. We have people who come in every week. It will be like maybe twice a week, 3 times a week. And as we speak now, this evening, there's going to be a concert in Nuremberg. And the children's voices, when they are singing Dayung Sampan, which is a local song, is going to be sung and heard in Germany. And the musicians are going to be playing a musical composition by this young conductor known as Wang Kachun. So parents know the value of this education. I mean, they can be paying as little as $3, or those who can afford it will pay $300. But it is the value and the change they see in their child. The child who comes in, within a matter of days, gets transformed. He starts transforming. He starts transforming his parents, who then start to dress better, go for better jobs, move out of their rental flats, go into purchase flats, go for upgrading. I don't know what the government talks about when they say, oh, the adults are not going for upgrading, here's the money. In our school, because the child is learning and changing, he changes the adult, the parents. Then you have the other very important pillar known as the community. What we do cannot work without the community, like you and your colleagues, right? If you don't allow us and give us this opportunity, we'll be depriving the children of this. So the parents know today is Saturday, it's 4 o'clock, it's now getting to be a bit late, but they will wait because they know that is the value of education.
So speaking of the parents, but do you have, because I know that in Singapore is a lot of peer pressure in parenting. Do you have parents who have neighbors who go to different schools and they come back with you going like, how come my child don't have spelling tests? And how do you sort of talk them out of that? Because it takes a bit of time for them to adapt.
Yeah, we do get those questions. We still do. And then I think in the whole process of this learning, constantly you have to be giving parents the evidence. Where is your child learning? And therefore we call this evidence-based learning, evidence-based research, and therefore the parent is on a parallel track with the child. If he has started to read a book or he has started to do some artwork which is spectacular and we have pasted it on the capsule of a spaceship that's going out into space, the parents would know about it even before the media reports it or it gets out to into the public sphere. So this confidence building with the parents helps in a long way. But the reality is that it's the school system, okay? And I see more and more of our parents who take longer to send their children for the mandatory ballet class, the tuition class, the abacus, you know. And the pressure then is on the child who gets a lot of play, creativity, and a lot of freedom in the center. And so half an hour of tuition just to prepare him for that. We call this a silly education system, who tests children on what they don't know and not on what they know. Then the child is able to navigate through all these changes once he is confident, he is self-assured, he's self-motivated, he knows what to do. I mean, do you see my children running around and you have to tell them, keep quiet, don't run? We didn't even have this meeting anymore, right? Because they know in a place like this is serious. So I have to be a serious listener. You have to listen, you have to think. And that means zip. Without being told, you know, keep quiet, don't run, sit down, I'll punish you otherwise. And for those parents who come and ask us, where is the spelling list? How come my neighbor got all those lists and he can spell excavator? Our answer is very simple. I said, you go and ask your neighbor's son or daughter, did he write a book that was published by the school when he was age 6? And they said, no. And then, is your son now in primary 2, right? How is he in school? He okay lah. Then she will say, okay, I don't need spelling list. Because what we do in the center is way ahead of the spelling list. Right? Children know where to find knowledge. They know how the words are constructed. And the process of learning, reading how to write, spell, they have their own ways of decoding the learning process. And if they know that, you can throw anything at them and they will thrive.
I think that's really amazing, and to think that there's such a place in Singapore and has been running for 19 years. I'm not sure if any of you can imagine that. So I think to end off, I really had such an insightful talk, and I think everyone in the audience did too. In your 19 years of doing this, what's your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is that we have taken something impossible and made it possible. And never mind what the people outside say. We just continue with this work because the child constantly pushes the boundaries. Just when you think you have moved an inch, now they are in space. You cannot keep up with them, you know. Their brains are constantly moving and they are full of energy, life, and even when they're asleep, you know, I'm sure you can see that brain moving, thinking, and they're recharged and they get up and I'm ready for action and we are pooped, you know, at the end of the day, but they are not. So the takeaway would be, change your mindset, change your view, change your glance, change your lenses. See children for what they are and not what you think they are and how you were brought up, So for us, the children they actually do the 10-year plans and the 5-year plans because they are telling you, this is how I want to learn. It's so easy, right? But the difficult part is the adult will not allow it.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, Nirmala. It's such an insightful talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.